Hey folks, Mav's Dad here back with another watch review. This is a watch I've been wanting to review for a few months now and I finally got my hands on one. This is the Seiko Prospex Kinetic GMT diver, model number SUN019. And what we'll do is I'll open this thing up, look at the fit and finish, the features and the functions and the build quality, and then I'll give you my overall impressions of the Seiko Prospex diver. Typical Seiko royal blue watch box. Everybody's seen these before. Go ahead and open this thing up. Take the watch out, and as with every Seiko, you get your typical manual and your warranty card right there with the actual card in the back here. There you go. Everybody's seen this stuff before, so nothing new, nothing exciting. Let's take a look at this watch. First impressions, it's very heavy and big. So let's go ahead and put all the specs on the left-hand side, and then we'll talk more in detail about some of the features and functions later in the video. You're looking at a 48mm case. Again, big watch, guys. If you want to wear something substantial and big on your wrist, this is the watch to do it. It's 15.5mm thick. It's on a 24mm bracelet. It's 200 meters water resistant, which is 660 feet. Again, it has the GMT function, which stands for Greenwich Mean Time. Basically, that's kind of like the start of the day for the world. It's a place in Greenwich, England, and it's kind of like the international time standard. I'll explain a little bit more later. It has a date function at 3:30 between the 3 and 4 index. You have a Seiko Kinetic 5M89 Kinetic Quartz movement inside, and I'll talk a little more about that later. A sapphire crystal, which is really nice to see on a sub $500 watch. Really nice to see a sapphire crystal on a Seiko. Some of the upper end models have them, but you don't see too many of the divers that have a sapphire crystal. You have a screw down crown at 3 o'clock and a screw down pusher at 2 o'clock. And I'll explain a little bit more about those a little bit later as well. Obviously Seiko's LumiBrite luminescent paint on all the indexes and markers. And you have a 6-month power reserve on this watch when it's fully charged, and I'll talk more about that later. And you have a 120 click unidirectional bezel, and I like this bezel a lot, and I'll talk more about that later as well. So again, first impressions, I mean, this watch, this thing is huge. And I'm not opposed to bigger watches. I've actually kind of changed my thinking on a little bit bigger watches. The 42 to 45 millimeter watch size is kind of my sweet point, but I think I'm being converted to some of these bigger watches. I don't know why. So I've seen 50 millers, just like the Casio G-Shock G Steel that I reviewed last week. That's a big watch, and it doesn't look bad on my wrist. I guess I'm being converted a little bit to some of these bigger watches. I still don't like the big gaudy Invictas or the Nixons or stuff like that. But when a big watch is done well, like this one is, I'm starting not to mind too much. Anyway, you have the GMT function, which is the skeletonized hand right here, where you see at 9 o'clock. Basically, it's kind of skeletonized and has a gray finish. It almost looks like a shadow of the hour hand. Very well done. I like that. I'm not a GMT function guy. I have no need for a GMT function watch. I really don't. I don't travel for business. I don't travel that much in my personal life. So I just don't need the extra visual complication of another watch hand on the watch face. Does it look cool? Yeah, it looks cool, but I just don't need that actual function in my life. So if you do like it, this is the one that's been very, very well done. So I congratulate Seiko on that. Very, very well done. It's distinctive enough from the hour hand, so you're not going to confuse the two. Again, sapphire crystal, awesome to see on a Seiko diver. Let's talk about the screw down pushers and the screw down crown. You have a screw down pusher at 2 o'clock, an actual screw down pusher, and you have a screw down crown. Now, this screw down crown, to me, it's a little bit hard to navigate. It's a little bit hard to unturn and then screw back in. I wish they had made the crown just a little bit longer. For that reason. It has a nice feel, it has a nice action to it. I just wish it was a little bit easier to screw back down. The screw down pusher is fine, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate what that does. Basically, that's your power reserve function. So when you press it, it's going to show you how much time you have left on your power reserve. So I'll wait till it gets to 12 and I'll show you. All right, I'm gonna push it now. So it jumped to 5 seconds. When it jumps to 5 seconds, that means you have about a day left of charge. If it had gone to 10 seconds, that means I would have about a week, 20 seconds, about a month. And if it had gone all the way down to 30 seconds, that would mean I would have a full 6-month charge. So a nice little feature to know how much time you have left before you need to wind the watch. When I say wind the watch, this doesn't have a wind feature. Basically, it's just from the movement of your wrist. A kinetic movement, basically a kinetic is an automatic movement with the rotor inside. Then instead of winding a gear, that rotor charges a battery, which then in turn powers the quartz movement inside. So it's really the best of both worlds. You get the quartz accuracy with the fact of not having to have a battery or worry about battery changes, and then automatic, because that basically that rotor winds the gear that charges the battery inside that powers the quartz movement. So it's kind of like a Frankenstein technology, if you will, but it's been very successful for Seiko, and I really like it. Really neat technology. And you also get the accuracy of a quartz too. So quartzes are about 4 or 5 times more accurate than any automatic. This watch right here will be more accurate than any Audemars Piguet, Rolex, Breitling, Vacheron Constantin, Tag, and 3 million other Swiss, automatics out there, just because the technology is different. Again, you're looking at probably plus or minus 15 seconds accuracy a month on a quartz movement, and you're looking about plus or minus 15 seconds a day on an average automatic, and you're looking at about plus or minus 5 seconds a day on a Swiss chronometer. So the Swiss automatics are much more accurate than a regular automatic watch, but they'll never be as accurate as a quartz movement. A $5, Casio or Timex will be more accurate than a $30,000 Rolex. It's just the technology inside. You have a 120 click unidirectional bezel. Unidirectional obviously means it moves one way. Very little give, very nice action. You're not going to accidentally bump this bezel and move it. Very little give. And of course you see the shroud around the bezel right there. Very well done. And this shroud basically is screwed down. You see these screws? It's screwed down over an inner case, and you can see that with kind of like a little skeletonized window here. Neat little design feature. I like that. It gives some depth to the case as well. The watch is very well machined and well finished. I mean, it feels like a much more expensive watch in your hand. I mean, it feels like you have one of the Swiss automatics. The attention to detail is great. I do wish there had been a signed logo, a signed crown here with maybe the Prospex logo. I thought that would have been a nice little added touch. But overall, just a fantastic looking watch. If you're looking at the face of the watch, all the indexes are applied, and they're raised off the surface, off the face of the watch. It gives the watch incredible depth. It's really hard to even show you here on video. And there you might be able to see it now. Those indexes are incredibly raised off the watch face. Really nice. You have an inner 24-hour marking on the inner kind of, chapter ring. The outer chapter ring just has your basic 360-degree markings there. Nice hand. You have a luminous pip on the back of the second hand. You have the sword tip style hour and minute hands. Really nice. I wasn't a big fan of that sword kind of hypodermic needle at the end, but I really like it now. And of course, you've got Lumibright all over these indexes, and I'll give you a little shot of the luminescence on this here in just a second. Let's go ahead and try this thing on real quick. But actually, before I do that, let's compare it. Let's compare it in size to the new Seiko 5 Monster that I have. This is the SRP 599. Let's just give it a size comparison. So as you can see, with the bezel of the 599, I mean, the SUN019, the Kinetic is, I don't know, they almost look the same size. Almost. This is 44 millimeters, and this is 48 millimeters. So they almost look, well, the case is bigger. The case is definitely bigger, but they're very similar in size. This just does it differently. This basically has a very wide bezel on it, which gives the illusion of it actually being a bigger watch. This actually just has a larger watch face on it. So there you go. And we'll go ahead and try this thing on here real quick. Give you an idea of what you're looking at size-wise. I always keep these stickers on in case I decide to take the watch back for whatever reason. All right. There you go. Wow. I mean, it's really weighing my hand down. But that's not a problem for me. I mean, look how high it sits on the wrist. So if you're in office, if you're a desk jockey, you might have some problems with the cuffs of your shirt. But I mean, I like wearing something substantial on my wrist. And God, I just can't get over how good looking this watch is. It might be the best looking Seiko diver I've ever seen. Wow, really, really nice. Very impressed with the machining and the overall build quality of this thing. Wow, really good looking watch, man. Let's go ahead and take this thing off. We'll do a little loom shot here. And also want to mention that you do have a dive extension, which is right there. Any good dive watch is going to have a dive extension. So you pop it out, unclick, and there you go. It gives you about a 1/2 inch extra bracelet to fit over a wetsuit. There you go. So you take it, click it, pop it, and there you go. So there's your dive extension. And just about every Seiko diver made, anything that's rated 200 meters or more, is going to have that dive extension on it. There you go. So let's go ahead and charge this thing up with the studio light. We'll take a look at the loom here, and what I'll do is I'll turn it off. I'll turn the studio light off, and we'll look at the quality of the loom, which is going to be incredible. I mean, it's Seiko's LumiBrite, so I'm not, expected to be shocked at all about how bright it is. And there you go. Good Lord. That is really bright, and that's really neat. You can see that skeletonized GMT hand there, showing the difference between the GMT hand and the regular hour hand. God, Seiko's loom is just incredible. Nobody can touch Seiko's LumiBrite. It's simply the brightest. It'll glow like this for hours. Hours and hours. So folks, I really like this watch. You can get it on Amazon for about $450. There are a couple different variations so far as watch face goes and bracelet. They have an neoprene bracelet. They have a black IP coated version. They have a white version. And I'll list all of those in the description field for you so you can take a look at them. The retail on this, I think, is about $725, I believe. Let's take a look at the tag. Yep, $725 retail. And of course, you never pay retail. Go on Amazon or any reputable watch site like Duty Free Island, Amazon, Creation Watches, and I'll list all of those websites in the description field as well. Both of those are incredibly reputable overseas companies. They're based out of Hong Kong, especially Duty Free Island and Creation Watches. I've got many watches for them. I've never had a problem. So this is an absolute recommend. Go out there and get this thing. If you like a heavy, purposely heavy, duty bound watch. I'm trying to think of the best words. I mean, this is the best tool diver I think I've seen. All right. I'm tired of slobbering over this thing. Anyway, go out there and get it. Again, this has been the Seiko Prospex GMT Kinetic Diver, model number SUN019. And if you like this video, please click on like. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please do so. I love new subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you like this watch, go out there and get it, folks. I mean, it is one of the best looking divers. I guess that's why this video is a little bit longer than normal. This is absolutely one of the best looking divers I've ever seen. Only gripe, like I said, is that crown. I wish they made the crown a little bit longer. Can I live with it? Absolutely. Because the crown has a nice feel to it. But I wish they'd made that just a little bit longer. Everything else about the watch, absolutely love. Really cool. All right, folks, until the next review, I'll see y'all later. Take care. Bye-bye.